welcome, and thank you all for coming. We are here at Academia Avance, home of the Jaguars, where earlier this year, federal immigration officers detained a father of one of our students just 2 blocks away. You will hear from that father shortly. But we are here today because myself, the executive director of our school, and faculty members in schools throughout Los Angeles and the entire state are in strong support of guiding principles behind the California Values Act, a bill that requires facilities like ours to eliminate and prevent immigration enforcement on our campuses. Our families need to stay together. SB 54 will protect the parents of the children we watch, teach, and guide each day as we prepare them for college, life, and becoming good American citizens on a daily basis. Thank you, Senator, and all the advocates who got behind the bill and pushed as hard as they did for getting the California Values Act across the finish line. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce Senate President Pro Tem Kevin de León.
Thank you so very much, Dr. St. Clair. Adrian, I want to thank you very much for your incredible leadership here today at middle school, Academia Avance. Thank you for being such a great leader and a great principal. I want to say good morning to each and every one of you. Muy buenos días. Today, I'm very pleased to announce that 30 minutes ago, the governor of the great state of California, Governor Jerry Brown, signed Senate Bill 54, the California Values Act. The California Values Act is now the law of the land. From San Diego to Eureka, from the Nevada border to the Pacific Ocean. California's local law enforcement cannot be commandeered and used by the Trump administration to tear families apart, undermine our public safety, and wreck our economy. The California Values Act will limit immigration enforcement actions at public schools, like the one we're at here today, hospitals and courthouses, where all California residents should feel safe regardless of immigration status. Now I want to thank Governor Jerry Brown for our very long hours of discussion. Let's give it up for Governor Jerry Brown. Again, I want to thank him for the very long hours of discussion that we had on this topic and for understanding this law's importance to the millions of California residents it seeks to protect. I also want to acknowledge and thank the many organizations and law enforcement advocates who advocated for Senate Bill 54 and who worked tirelessly every day to protect and uplift those who contributed so much to both our culture as well as economy. I don't know if I have that list with me right now. If I don't, then what I'll do is I'll recognize them in just a bit. The signing of Senate Bill 54 comes at a very critical time in our nation's history. With the election of Donald Trump, we have witnessed a growing racial divide that we have not seen in decades. Over and over again, the president has deployed fear and division to advance his political ambitions. The result of this constant barrage of dog whistles, or some would say foghorns or bullhorns, is a sickening rise in racism, turning American against American. The president's sympathy with white supremacist groups wreaking havoc in Charlottesville, his slow and callous response to the devastation caused by Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, His attacks on black professional athletes protesting racial inequities are just the latest examples. His racist, xenophobic, and unconstitutional Muslim travel ban, the constant threats against America's most diverse cities to withhold law enforcement funding merely because they seek to protect hard-working immigrants. It has been apparent to me personally for months, way before Charlottesville, before Puerto Rico, and before Trump's rant against black athletes, that our president is pursuing biased law enforcement policies based on the principles of white supremacy, not American values. We will not stand idly by as President Trump and our Attorney General of the United States of America, Jeff Sessions, seek to divide this nation by scapegoating honest, hard-working families and casting immigrants as threats to be neutralized. Now, I know Trump supporters don't get this from their news outlets or blogs, but immigrants commit far fewer crimes than U.S.-born citizens. That is a fact, not fake news. Immigrants have also an outsized role in our economy. As small business owners, that is true. But the Trump administration does not want you to understand that. In California, we will do everything in our power to prevent families from being torn apart in order to feed the president's base. Californians simply will not divert its precious public safety assets to stock law-abiding immigrants and undermine the safety in our communities in the process. These students at this incredible school, Academia Avance, live in constant fear that their mothers, that their fathers might not be outside one day to pick them up. This is exactly what happened to Romulo's daughters, and this is what they had to face. The California Values Act won't stop ICE from trolling our streets. It will not provide full sanctuary, but it will put a large kink in Trump's perverse and inhumane deportation machine. California, my friends, and to all Californians, California is building a wall of justice against President Trump's xenophobic, racist, and ignorant immigration policies. We will resist, and we will overcome, and we will prove to this nation there's a hopeful future for our country where we cherish diversity and respect our immigrant heritage. Thank you very much. No, al contrario, gracias a ustedes. I want to give a very special quick recognition and then just share a few words in Spanish and bring up our other incredible speakers. I want to thank the California Police Chiefs Association. Without law enforcement, we wouldn't be here today. Their role is to protect and serve, and they're doing that admirably. So I want to give them a very special thank you. I also received a text this morning from our great Police Chief, Charlie Beck, of Los Angeles Police Department. Let's give it up for Charlie Beck. Police Chief Charlie Beck has demonstrated that you can be a great national leader, protect and serve all communities, regardless of your status. At the same time, fight crime and do everything within his power to reduce crime and keep us safe. Charlie Beck played an outsized role, and I want to give him a very special recognition. I want to thank Pico. I want to thank Pico for their incredible work. I want to thank the good friends, the good folks at Chile, Angelica Salas. The National Day Labor Organizing Network. I want to thank them very much. I want to thank CIPC, Asian Americans Advancing Justice. I want to thank them very much. I want to thank the Immigration Legal Resource Center, MALDEF, SEIU, USWW. I want to thank great leaders like Juan Jose Gutierrez, Raul Morillo, and the countless of other local organizations and statewide organizations and national organizations that came together, faith-based organizations, community-based, community activists, law enforcement, working hand in hand together to make this a reality. Hoy día me da mucho gusto anunciar que el gobernador nuestro, gobernador Jerry Brown, ha firmado el proyecto, la ley 54, el Acta de los Valores del Estado de California. Quiero agradecer al gobernador por su reconocimiento de la importancia de la 54 y de las comunidades y las familias que busca proteger. La firma de la 54 no podría ser más oportuna. Con la elección de Donald Trump, hemos visto una creciente división racial en nuestra nación que no hemos visto en décadas. A través de sus acciones y sus palabras concretas, el presidente mismo ha creado un ambiente fértil para que el odio y la discriminación crezcan. No vamos a dejar, y quiero enfatizar y subrayar lo siguiente, no vamos a dejar que el presidente Trump y el procurador fiscal de los Estados Unidos, Jeff Sessions, vaya a demonizar a nuestras familias honestas y trabajadoras y presentar que todos los inmigrantes son criminales violentos, porque sabemos todos que no es cierto. Es una mentira, que queda muy claro. Por lo tanto, California está construyendo un muro, pero un muro de justicia. Un muro de justicia contra las políticas públicas sobre migración del presidente Trump, que son xenófobas, racistas e ignorantes. California no gastará sus recursos de la seguridad pública para perseguir a los inmigrantes que respetan la ley. Muchos de estos estudiantes de esta escuela, Academia Avance, viven en constante temor de que sus madres, sus padres no estén afuera esperándolos para recogerlos un día en el futuro no muy lejano. La 54 asegura que la policía estatal y local no será mal encaminada por el presidente o por el procurador fiscal Jeff Sessions de llevar a cabo los deberes que nos protegen a todos. Perseveremos para esta nación un futuro de esperanza, que celebra la diversidad y respeta nuestras comunidades de migrantes, sin importar de dónde vienen, de dónde vinieron y cómo llegaron aquí a este gran país. Muchas gracias. With that, it brings me great pleasure to bring up a friend, a partner, a colleague who was with me since day one on this measure. It is our Assembly member from here in Los Angeles. Let's get up for Assembly member Miguel Santiago.
I stand here today as a proud principal co-author of Senate Bill SB 54. But today, we recognize the hard work of many, but in particular, Senator Pro Tem de León, because it is one thing that many of our colleagues done, which is to call out the president. And let's face it, it's not sugarcoated. The national agenda is a racist agenda. We saw it since day one. Let's not sugarcoat this. But it is a whole nother thing to step up and do something about it. And that's exactly what we saw here. So while we've seen many folks call out the president, we've seen one individual in particular stand up and lead the resistance in California. And Senator Pro Tem Kevin de León stood up and showed us how to do a model that could work across this country. And this model really does ensure that California lives up to its dream of hope and promise, that it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter if you're documented or undocumented. What matters is that we treat all people equally. And what we know about SB 54 is that it will ensure some dignity to people that are just trying to get to school, that are just trying to get to a doctor, that are just trying to get to a court. Now, this is really important, this issue about safe zones, because without the ability to have a safe zone, without the ability to access resources, without the ability to see a doctor, you cannot live a dignified life. This bill that the governor has now signed is far more reaching than just about immigrant rights. It touches the core of what we and how we value human life and what kind of resources, because the civil rights movement was about access. It was about access to education. It was about access to health care. It was about access to voting. It was about access to achieve equality. And what SB 54 does is it continues that pathway of what California should be, what the nation should do, ensuring that we have full access and we're treated equally under the law. So thank you, Senator Pro Tem de León, for all your hard work and all the advocates, and we're going to continue fighting. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Asambleman Miguel Santiago. Now, I know it's kind of warm right now. It's very warm. So I'm hoping that folks brought either their fans or their SFP 50, sunscreen. So we're going to go through this very quickly because I'm sure there are going to be some questions and answers here. I'm going to bring up a man who actually needs no introduction because he is a man who was in the national news because of his detention just a few blocks down the street, dropping off his daughter here one early morning, just doing something that we do every single day when we're dropping off our kids at school. Let's bring up to the podium Rómulo Abelica. Rómulo.
Buenas tardes a todos, buenos días, no sé qué horas son, pero...
Good morning, everyone.
Estoy muy emocionado aquí con el señor Kevin de León y quiero darle las gracias por ser el creador de esta propuesta SB 54 que protege a la comunidad, a todos los inmigrantes por igual.
I feel very emotional today, and I want to thank Senator Kevin de León for authoring SB 54 that will protect our entire community.
Al gobernador también, Jerry Brown, por haber firmado esta propuesta. So, muchas gracias, y yo creo que con esto vamos a tener más tranquilidad a toda la comunidad y así podemos llevar a nuestros hijos a la escuela, ir al doctor, ir a la corte, ir a donde sea, todos con una confianza de que no vamos a ser detenidos. Porque este país somos inmigrantes todos.
And I also want to... And I also want to thank Governor Jerry Brown for signing SB 54. Now we're going to be able to go to school, take our kids to school, go to work, go to court whenever it's needed, without any fear.
Y también quiero invitar a todos los líderes de la comunidad, como al señor Kevin de León, a los concejales, a todos los que nos representan, para que sigan con la lucha a favor de nosotros los inmigrantes. Gracias.
And I also want to invite the community leaders and legislators like Senator Kevin de León to continue with our struggle to protect our communities.
Thank you. Gracias, Kevin. Gracias a todos.
Okay, next up we have the National Director of the National Day Labor Network. Let's bring it up, Pablo Alvarado. Pablo.
Thank you. So thank you, sir. Oops, there you go. Thank you so much for all your hard work, and thanks to your staff. It's been fantastic, everyone. But I want to single out Alex Salgado, who made sure, what is Alex? who made sure that every single advocate felt heard in this process. So muchas gracias. Thank you. So brothers and sisters, California is safer and stronger when all people, regardless of where they come from, are treated equally by our schools, by the courts, and by our criminal justice system. SB 54 is actually evidence that local leadership is necessary and that progress is possible, despite the politics of fear, hatred, and division that have actually paralyzed Washington, D.C. California lawmakers are drawing their strength and courage, not from Trump, but from migrants who displayed a great deal of courage every single day in our country. And the irony is that President Trump's racist scapegoating has expired an emerging consensus about the need for even greater protection for the most vulnerable. Mr. Trump and his advisors are trying to create fear. They want migrants to fear the government and the institutions that are supposed to administer justice for them. They want citizens to fear migrants. They want white people to fear non-white individuals in our country. They want progressive politicians to fear the environment that elected Trump. They want to make sanctuary cities scared of federal retaliation. But obviously, brothers and sisters, that's not working out. Yeah. Isn't that right? Immigrants are courageous people, and so are California lawmakers. SB 54 will protect public safety, defend civil rights, and keep families together. It sets a floor for the total separation of immigration law from the criminal justice system. We're not there yet. We're going in that direction. And it sets the floor to make sure that everyone is treated equally under our criminal justice system. So the politics of fear in our state are definitely not working. And with the signage of SB 54, our state is telling President Trump, you can keep your money. We'll keep our migrant community. With the signage of SB 54, Senator Kevin de León is turning the rhetoric of resistance into the policies of resistance. Thank you so much. Mil gracias.
Pablo, thank you so very much for your very kind words. Next, we have an incredible leader for the state of California, a leader of janitors, a leader of security officers, the men and women who, day in and day out, when we're all asleep, they're the ones who are cleaning these offices and who are protecting our buildings. Let's get up for our leader, David Huerta, president of SEIU, United Service Workers West.
Thank you, Senator Kevin de León. As a leader in California, a labor leader in California, I want to first thank Senator Pro Tem Kevin de León for the conviction, the courage, and the fight that you have to represent our community and pass this great legislation for us. It is in this moment of resistance, we need leadership as yours, and we are there with you, and we'll continue to support you in all you do. Thank you. Also like to thank Assemblymember Miguel Santiago as well for the work that you do continually to represent our community and the best interests of all our communities here in California. The California Values Act represents what it means to be a Californian and an American in the United States. It represents that families in California, that we will embrace them, they will continue to support them, and that our communities will not have to live in fear of deportation or in fear of violence. And it is very important that we continue to support this community as we see this administration and its hostility towards Latinos and immigrants. We embrace our community and California as the best example of ensuring everyone in our community is safe from violence or fear. But as we celebrate this victory, we now turn the attention to the issue of the DREAM Act. We need to continue to support the youth in our community and make sure those that came here as children are going to get what they deserve, and that is continue their American dream in California, in the United States. As well as the parents who fled violence and have fled national catastrophes in their own home countries, and here at DPS. We have limited time, and we have to act boldly, and we have to act in support of them. We need to ensure also that the 10 million immigrants that live in this country, in this United States, who are still waiting for a solution to a broken immigration system, that we ensure that we will make sure that those voices are heard in 2018, both through our continued resistance to an administration that is hostile to both Latinos and immigrants, and making sure that we show up in the voting booth in November to demonstrate our power. ¿Se puede? What we do in California matters. And in California, we will continue to resist. And through our resistance, we will win the justice and the dignity that all communities deserve. ¿Se puede? Thank you.
Okay, we got a handful of folks. Let's go through this again. Now we have the Reverend, representing Pico. 1, 2, 3. Representing Pico, we have Kelvin Sals. Kelvin Sals, Reverend.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. All right. Today is a day of victory. Come on. Let's give it up for our leaders who made sure that today took place, and they've led us to this historic occasion. So come on. Let's once again give a round of applause to our leaders today. I have the privilege of serving as the senior pastor at The message that we are sending today is an urgent and powerful message. We value families. We affirm the sacred worth of all immigrants, and they deserve due process and equal protection under the law. Pico, California, and our 400-member congregations across 24 counties thank Governor Brown, Senate President Pro Tem Kevin de León, and the members of the California State Legislature for passing strong legislation that will allow thousands of families to stay together during a time of increasing danger of immigrants and communities of color across the state. While SB 54 is not perfect, it establishes a critical new firewall between immigrant families and the federal deportation machine, since 60 to 70% of all deportations in California originate in our jails and prisons. This is a crucial step in the right direction towards disentangling local law enforcement from ICE. It challenges the criminalization and the exploitation of immigrants. Pico, California's moral imperative is grounded in the endless compassion and justice of a loving God, a God who chose to dwell on earth as a refugee and a migrant in and through Jesus Christ. We call upon local law enforcement to demonstrate integrity by fully complying with SB 54 in the hopes that trust between law enforcement and others will come together and facilitate ongoing work as we do what it is that we are called to do. And so as we come together today, we continue to stand together as this bill is moving us onward towards that path of the unfinished agenda of the civil rights movement. And so as these movements collide and come together, it invites us to march on to a more perfect union. So we are excited, we are appreciative, but we know this is not the end. It is only the beginning. So we continue to hold hands together, to walk and work together, to see how it is that we can continue to value families, and from here onward, we march towards a clean Dream Act. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Reverend. We have three more individuals, and then we're ready for Q&A. With that, let's bring up Father Brendan Bussey, also from Pico. Father.
So I'm Father Brendan Bussey, Associate Pastor at Dolores Mission in Boyle Heights, a member of LA Voice and the Pico National Network of Interfaith Community Organizing. So I speak first on behalf of the families of my church in Boyle Heights, also as a friend of the larger immigrant community here in Los Angeles, and as a brother of the thousands of the members of the interfaith community who share a moral vision of the religious commitment to radical social inclusion, the promotion and protection of human dignity, civil rights, and social justice for all. We've heard a lot this week about thoughts and prayers, from chaos of earthquakes and hurricanes to the horror of mass shootings, but today we celebrate one example where our thoughts and prayers have been put into meaningful action and effective legislation. And we are here to celebrate a newly signed law that is evidence that in California our values can act. We can put our thoughts and prayers into action. And so on behalf of the children of my community, their parents and friends, I'd like to thank Senator de León and the thousands, literally thousands of other people, some of them standing right here behind me, who promoted and protected this bill the way we need to promote and protect immigrants in our community. They kept it as strong as possible in an effort to establish a sense of security for our families and trust between our community and law enforcement. The moral perspective of the religious community is clear. We have a fundamental responsibility to welcome, protect, and promote the immigrant in our midst. We must love our neighbors as if they were ourselves, because in point of fact, they are our sisters and our brothers, our mothers and our fathers, our sons and our daughters. And we are bound to them in kinship. We must also be bound to them in the law of love. And so we recognize that even as we celebrate the protection of this new law, that this new law will offer, we have much more work to do. The law is a move in the right direction, but it's not yet the comprehensive immigration reform our immigration system needs. So I thank you, Senator de León, and I congratulate all the organizers, community leaders, mothers and fathers who fought for this moment, and I look forward to working together even more on behalf of our beloved immigrant community. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Father Bussey. Two more individuals. We have the Vice President of Planned Parenthood here in Los Angeles. That is Celinda Vasquez. Celinda Vasquez.
Short. Is this working? No? Okay, I'm loud. My name is Celinda Vasquez, and I am the Vice President of Public Affairs for Planned Parenthood here in Los Angeles. We are so ever grateful for Senate Pro Tem Kevin de León's leadership on this very important issue. He has been a champion not only on immigration rights and all of the good issues that we all care about, but on women's health issues. And also a big thank you to Assemblymember Miguel Santiago. I'm also a daughter of immigrants, and this issue is near and dear to my heart. And what we're seeing, as everyone has said, is that Planned Parenthood patients, there's 115 health centers in the state of California, about 19 in Los Angeles. We see over 150,000 patients a year, many of which are undocumented. And let me be clear, we will provide care to all patients, no matter what. That is, absolutely. That is our tagline, our branding tagline, and we stand with the senator, the pro tem, the assembly member, and this legislature to make sure that we are taking care of everyone in our community. It is dangerous to entangle immigration enforcement with health care. That is not how we take care of people that need access to health care. And we will fight every single day of this administration to make sure that everyone, including undocumented immigrants, have access to reproductive health care at Planned Parenthood. Thank you.
Thank you. Last but not least, from Northern California, we have the Policy Director, Senior Staff Attorney for the Asian Americans Advancing Justice. She played a huge role. Let's get it for Angela Chan. Angela Chan.
Thank you, Senator. Good afternoon. My name is Angela Chan. On behalf of Asian Americans Advancing Justice California, I'm here today to celebrate the signing of the California Values Act. First, I want to make sure we thank Pro Tem Senator Kevin de León for your leadership, your courage, and for authoring SB 54, and for his hard-working staff for guiding this bill through its really difficult process, especially Alex Salgado, who's done a lot of work for this bill. Thank you. Advancing Justice appreciate the opportunity to work with the Senator to pass SB 54 because we care deeply about keeping immigrant families together, about protecting due process rights, about separating local law enforcement from immigration enforcement. In California, almost 500,000 Asian Americans are undocumented. This represents 1 out of 8 Asian immigrants in the state and nearly 1 out of 5 undocumented immigrants in the state. With the signing of SB 54 into law, California takes a significant step towards disentangling local law enforcement from immigration enforcement, thereby reducing the number of community members funneled into our cruel and inhumane immigration detention and deportation system. In particular, among its many key provisions, SB 54 ends the notorious 287G program, which is currently active in Orange County. It also limits transfers of community members from police to immigration custody, and it prohibits police and sheriffs from asking about immigration status. The bill also sets a floor and not a ceiling in terms of protecting immigrants in our various counties, so that counties like Los Angeles can and should adopt a higher standard. This victory is a large result of a diverse statewide coalition of immigrant rights, labor, faith, and criminal justice groups who helped pass the Trust Act in 2013 and the Truth Act last year. It's also the result of directly impacted immigrants who are brave enough to come forward to share their stories, especially under this difficult climate where our immigrants are being targeted by our federal government. Stories like Daniel Mayer, who's the recycling director of the Berkeley Ecology Center, who ICE is currently seeking to deport even though he served his sentence in state prison for a mistake he made when he was 19 years old and went on to be a contributing member of the community for the past 20 years. Daniel's story in particular underscores the value that we should all hold dear. Immigrants should not be singled out for scapegoating for political gain. Immigrants should not be subject to double punishment. Immigrants should not be permanently separated from their families. And with the signing of SB 54 into law, the statewide coalition will be shifting quickly into implementation. We will make sure that every sheriff, every law enforcement official follows every letter of this law. We've already developed community education materials, and we'll develop many more that we've already posted on iceoutofca.org. iceoutofca.org. Thank you again to the Senator.
Thank you, sir. Well, I think that's the end of the press conference celebratory bill signing ceremony. I want to thank each and every one of you for participating. To the students here, to the great students here. Talk about U.S. history in civics in action, today. I want to thank you for participating in a very historic moment today. To the Reverend, to the Father, to Assemblymember Miguel Santiago, to all the great leaders here today present who spoke and who didn't speak today. You're all great leaders who played a really vital role in the signing of this bill. I don't know if we're going to do a Q&A, if we'll just break up individually for interviews by individuals. Whatever is the feeling of the members. If not, we can break up individually. Everyone here is, what do you want to do, Jonathan? The Q&A, or you want to break up?
We can break up.
Okay, we can break up.
Can you please do, puedes hacer una explicación en español exactamente de lo que esta ley va a hacer para proteger a la gente?
Sí, ¿por qué no lo hacemos individualmente, no? Mejor, ¿no? Por Pilar. So for those who want individual interviews, go right now with the folks right now.
Exactly at noon, Estrella National.
No, gracias. Sí, déjeme regresar. Tengo que hacer la entrevista y regreso ahorita con ustedes.